More of the country is closing down tonight, trying to contain the coronavirus pandemic. New York State and Illinois have now joined California in taking that step, with more states expected to follow.
Therefore, we will be extending our guidelines to April 30th to slow the spread, to slow the spread.
Motorcycles and pandemics. Nothing in common, but this whole situation has many of us wanting to ride more than ever. No destination in mind other than having the opportunity to be in the wind. But in most places, we can't, due to stay-at-home recommendations or a full lockdown from risks of spreading or exposure to COVID-19. But I was fortunate enough to be deemed essential, so I was still commuting to work. Compared to normal, the streets were a lot less crowded and chaotic in the morning, even though my commute is only 15 minutes. And it was almost eerie to see the streets clear of anyone, both in the morning and also leaving in the afternoon. I'm honestly just not used to it. But I took that opportunity to ride every day that I could. And it got me to thinking on whether or not this was okay to do, even though legally and maybe even socially, I was doing everything right, but it still felt wrong. And during the period of my commuting to work, Alabama had not put in a stay-at-home recommendation yet, along with the curfew of 10 p.m. that we now have, which meant that people were out in the streets as if nothing was happening. And the city moved normally. People just weren't going to work. And once the stay-at-home order was put in place, traffic still flowed at a rate it probably shouldn't have been. And honestly, if it wasn't for the curfew being enforced at 10 p.m., people probably would still be out. And one could argue that the curfew is useless because people are still going to heavily populated areas when the curfews aren't in effect during the day. So here's where motorcycles come in. For the majority of us, we can't ride. We're either stuck at home or we're fortunate enough to not only have a job, but also be able to travel to and from work on a motorcycle. And after work is done for the day, we take the long route home so we can get every drop out of the ride we can. And when we aren't working on the weekends, we're taking full advantage of the cool spring weather with the beginning of riding season that's now upon us. I did previously and went for a rip on a nice back road in the area, and I had a great day. But the problem and question I have for you all is, with the risk of not staying at home, whether you come out for work or necessities like groceries, is it okay for us to still ride motorcycles in our leisure time, even if we're practicing social distance? And I feel like motorcycling outside of necessity right now is probably a luxury, even if temporary, but I'm on the fence on whether it's wrong or right.
The question I have is, does me, along with other people that are out riding their motorcycles and social distancing, as we call it, not really in contact with other people, does this cause other people to want to do the same thing? Then of course we're supposed to be at home, we're supposed to not be out in public unless we have to get groceries or necessity things, but right now, I don't have to be out here. Now granted, my area doesn't have a full lockdown, they have a stay-at-home order, but at the same time, there's nothing preventing me from coming out here and riding and taking pictures and of course getting content for you guys that can't do anything, but luckily I'm able to at least still ride to and from work, and when I do go to and from work, I'm on the bike, so I do have that advantage. But is this, when people see me out in my area riding and they say, oh, it's okay to go outside, and they start driving and other people see them doing it, next thing you know, nobody's really obeying the stay-at-home order, and then it just compounds from there. So is this really a bad idea? Even though, again, I'm out here, I haven't come in contact really with anybody, other than somebody did stop and ask me was I broken down, but we were like 8 feet apart. So, is this bad?
On my commutes to work, no social interaction. On commutes back home, no social interaction. On days I just ride, mostly no social interaction, but I do run into moments like this.
I hope you guys enjoy it, and hey!
So that's why I'm a bit torn on it. With riding outside of work or leaving the house out of necessity, does it come off as being careless on what else is going on in the world? And in doing so, are we influencing others to do the same? And I'm thinking in terms of making it appear like it's okay to do it, like a monkey see, monkey do kind of thing. But with less traffic on the roads and with the beginning of the riding season, this is one of the most wonderful times to be out there on a motorcycle, but it almost feels selfish. While out there though, there's nothing in both directions. Not breaking the rules of being in big groups and risk of spreading the virus, but keeping overall distance from others and practicing good sanitary habits to reduce exposure. I'm out here with the cows and the bulls, simply enjoying nature and the magnificence of motorcycling. But let's talk about it. I'm leaving this open-ended on the topic for discussion, so definitely drop your comments on how you feel about it below. But currently, I'm working from home. But I will be going back in a few days this week to check up on some things, so of course, I'll be on the 109, and I'm going to ride while I can. And I hope that those of you that are out there riding, you're doing so in the safest way possible. But definitely subscribe if you haven't already, and like the video to show your support for content like this, and yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next one.